By the light of the sun, by the depth of the moon, by the flame of the wand, and by the pentacle of earth, I call upon the guides of wisdom, the ancestors of the craft, and the holy guardian angel. Guide us now through the stations of the dove and serpent, reveal what is hidden, that we may transform it into light. Hello, Libra. Welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul. Today we walk the path of the dove and serpent spread, an 11-fold journey of transformation. Each position reveals a unique aspect of your journey, alternating between the essence of your being and the events that help to shape your destiny. Remember to hit the like button and consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I provide. And remember, Libra, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. And here we have the Hanged Man as your first position, station. The station reveals your sense of self, okay? Our essential personality right now, what we are sort of the vibe of our life, okay? And it's the Hanged Man, our core energy. And this kind of is the emotional tone that is coloring everything that we do. I feel like you're somebody who is sort of giving everybody what they want, right? Maybe trying to please other people. Maybe this is an energy of, well, it's an energy of sacrifice and suffering for sure. And so I think it's kind of like right now we feel as if our life is in service to someone or something else, for better or for worse, no judgment here. But it feels as if the ego is having to sacrifice its autonomy, its interest for something else. Now, sometimes if this is more of a personal thing, it's kind of that we've spent a lot of time doing everything for everyone, not doing enough for ourselves. Okay? You might be a person who right now is in a position where you feel like you are in service to someone or something, and you are sacrificing a lot of your own interests, your own growth, maybe your own future for somebody else. This is a card of, in a way, passivity. It's pure water, right? It's a surrender to something. And again, that could be good or bad, right? But this sort of is driving us to ask that question: what am I sacrificing and why, right? What am I doing with my life where I feel that I'm putting in every piece of myself, and am I getting anything in return? Is this worth the sacrifice? How is this shaping my worldview? Could be you're in a relationship where you find that you're having to conform to what the other person wants, that you are doing everything you can to prioritize somebody else rather than prioritizing yourself. But this could be I'm in service to a larger purpose. I'm in service to spirit. I'm in service to the world, to the universe. And that is my contribution. Okay. But the essence of the Hanged Man is that our external progress has ceased because we've been committed to something or someone else. Does that make sense? So we need to put this card into some context to find out what this is all about. Why are we sacrificing? What are we suffering for? Okay, so we're going to use our dove and serpent spread. Here we have an Ace of Wands, and that's very interesting. 2 of Wands, 7 of Pentacles, and the Queen of Cups. In the future position, we have a 6 of Wands. Very interesting now, because I feel that kind of the darkness of the water and earth is giving way to this very intense fire energy. Major energy is here for you. I feel as if we're getting out of this period of sacrifice. Here we have a 10 of Pentacles. We have a Princess of Pentacles. We have fire, a Princess of Wands, and a Knight of Wands. Wow. Yeah, this water energy, this suffering, sacrifice, this passivity, the acceptance of our circumstances is giving way to boldness, giving way to confidence, giving way to self-assertive energy, giving way to victory, giving way to fire and earth manifestation. So the Hanged Man, to me, feels like someone who is suffering and sacrificing for something that really isn't in their best interest. Okay? So again, we'll use the example of two people in a relationship, and this is, this is where one person is giving and giving and giving and giving, and the other person's taking and taking and taking and taking. And that's a dynamic that is not going to last for very long. See, the Hanged Man almost feels powerless. It almost feels like I'm kind of stuck in this position where I'm giving every part of me to something, and it's no longer serving my highest sort of purpose, right? No longer serving spirit. And so I feel that this energy now is giving way to empowerment. See, we have that Ace of Wands that is kind of coming your way. Let's select the mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. This is a random card from the Smith-Waite Tarot. This is the factor infinite and unknown. We're going to set it down over here with Mr. Ed, our little horse, right there on top. We're not going to look at that card until the very end. It will tie everything together, and it will give us the confirmation that we need at the end of the reading. If at any point during this message you feel like you might know what that card could be, put your prediction in the comments down below. Now, as we look around the room, we do notice that this Hanged Man is our only major arcana card. This is your spirit right now. And again, as your first card, as your station card, this is kind of what's on your mind. That this is the situation that's kind of that we're dealing with right now. We feel as if we are suffering and sacrificing, and for what? And so the second card then is the Ace of Wands. This is the battle position. Is your personal task or quest. This is the conflict for you. And really, this is a conflict of will, right? What does your spirit tell you to do? What is in your best interest right now? What is in the, not just from an ego perspective, but what is in the deeper sense of the word? What is your purpose right now? What is your will? Because the Hanged Man is the one who has given up, at least temporarily, given up the willpower, given up the will, acquiesced to someone else's will. And so now it feels as if your task, this is something that's requiring your strength. It's kind of asking you to get up and claim your power, grab your magic wand of your willpower, and make decisions for yourself and get out of this place, whatever it is. Whether it's an emotional place or whether it's a relationship of some kind. You're taking your power back here. This is a situation where you need to fight. You need to grow and transform. Okay? The Hanged Man could be, in a certain sense, when we look at things from this, in a horizontal path here, we see the Seven of Pentacles, right? It's a card of failure. It's a card of darkness. It's a card of something that we tried to grow, didn't grow. And so the Hanged Man could really be that we feel almost powerless in our feelings, in our emotions, in a kind of a despair. We almost feel kind of paralyzed. But what we need to do is grab our wand and move forward, and we will succeed. This is the card of success. This is the card of failure, right? So, this may not be a romantic relationship. It may not be a work thing. It could really be the Hanged Man is kind of like, we're ready to give up. We've had a setback. We've had an obstacle, and we had a bad day, let's say. We had a failure. We got knocked down. We got thrown down on the mat. The Hanged Man wants to stay on the mat. The Hanged Man is saying, okay, I guess I live here now. But the Ace of Wands is saying, no, the challenge for you is to get up, right? To get up and fight, to transform. So how are we responding to this situation? Are we laying down? Are we giving up, acquiescing? Are we giving in? Are we surrendering? Or are we saying, no, I'm not going to surrender. I'm going to get up and I'm going to keep going. I'm going to try again, right? Or if this is that relationship where it feels like it's very one-sided and you're the one that's sort of just doing everything you can to please somebody else, but you're not living life for yourself anymore. This Ace of Wands is about you getting up and saying, I'm changing something, right? This is that moral dilemma, that conflict right now that is challenging you to take power, right? To take this torch and do something with it. It's a call for a revolution. It's a call for change. It's a need for courage. Okay? So the Hanged Man is sort of pulling themselves out of this position, whether this is simply, I've gotten thrown down on the mat and I want to stay here. The Hanged Man doesn't want to get up. Or if this is that relationship that feels like, I can't get out of this, that I'm now just stuck being in service to somebody that is, is trying to make all the decisions, let's say, right? Because that's the Hanged Man. It almost feels like a powerlessness. And we've got this Ace of Wands that is essentially the source of your power. Now, position 3 under the surface is your soul position, right? This reveals your private self, the emotional landscape beneath your persona, the wellspring of feelings and memories. The 2 of Wands is a card of dominion. It's like there is this growing feeling inside of you that's saying, I need to take control. I need to wrestle control back of my own life. Whether I'm wrestling with things outside of myself or I'm wrestling with myself. I need to take control back, because that Hanged Man maybe is us sinking further and further into powerlessness or despair, or into the relationship, or into that quicksand that says, I can't get out of this anymore. This is that card inside of you. This is that energy. You feel it in your gut. It needs to have some expression. It's fighting to get out. Okay? And it really is this this part of you that is in control of themselves. We are in control of our own lives. Again, this is the card of dominion. Now, I can't control what other people do. I can't control other people's behaviors. I can't control the random chance events of the universe. But I can control myself. I can control my thoughts, words, and deeds. And so I feel that this is a strong indication that you're meant to reclaim this fire energy. This major energy is here. We need to harness it. We need to grab a hold of it and direct it forward. Now let's look at the past position. Position 4, the dwarf. It's an event. All right, it's some kind of inertia or a drag. It's some kind of a karma. It's some event that is kind of shaping our current situation. And this might have been, let's say, for instance, this was a financial difficulty that we were in. Somebody bailed us out, and now we feel as if we owe them. Okay? Now we feel like we have to be in service to that, whatever that force was, or whoever that person was, perhaps, that saved us from this situation. Okay? Or this is, in your own personal quest, this was a setback. This was a little f failure. But the Hanged Man is there kind of saying, now I'm the failure, right? This should be a motivation for growth, where it's just we take that away and it's kind of like, okay, I tried something, I failed, I'm going to come back even stronger until I kick its butt. However, the Hanged Man is saying, okay, I had a loss, I had a defeat, okay, I had a setback or failure, and now I can't recover from it. Okay. This is an emotional energy to me, it feels like. Yeah. But the 7 of Pentacles here is something that's still echoing you. This is literally the old failure that's now limiting your freedom. It's still sort of pulling on you and dragging you down into that despair, rather than empowering you. But we need to learn how to sort of flip that script around. Okay, we can take this and get motivated from it. So Spirit's trying to show you a snapshot of your current situation and the need now for taking control back. Okay, because this is now limiting your freedom. This is something that maybe it happened months ago, years ago even, but it's still affecting you now. Okay, especially when we remove this. It's like, yeah, I want to succeed. I want to be victorious in my life, in whatever circumstances I'm in, but I can't get past this. Okay. And so it feels that perhaps you haven't been making very much progress lately. The Hanged Man is, it's not inactive. but it's saying that there is no external activity, that we have not, we still, like, we're still lying down on the mat, but there's a lot of things that are happening inside of you. Okay, the work is still taking place. It's time now to take that internal work that's been going on under the surface and allow it to have its expression so that we can get back on top, so that we can not only get up off the mat, but then have the win. Okay, so we have to look at that Seven of Pentacles and ask, what is that event that is still holding us down? Where is this old failure that is still keeping us in this very uncomfortable position? Okay. Now, the position 5 is the Giant, right? It's kind of a driving force. Sometimes this is our personal virtue. It's a Queen of Cups, and the queens are always looking at the past. And it feels like we're looking at the past, and we're sinking down into that sort of negative emotion. Okay. Looking at the past, dwelling on the past, ruminating on the past, getting stuck in the past is dragging us down. The idea here is that we're switching from ruminating on the past, dwelling on the past, or being stuck in the past to the Knight, right? Which is, the Knights are always looking at the future. So instead of being emotionally tied down to the past, we're now getting fired up about the future. And it's merely a matter of changing the direction of your gaze. Okay. So I think that the strength that we have to be willing to embrace right now with this card is to lift the veil of our emotions and to realize that, yeah, you know what, I still feel kind of a personal injury or insult from that Seven of Pentacles. And once we realize what that Seven of Pentacles is and how much it's still affecting us, we can choose to let it go and reclaim our power and move forward. So it could be that we don't know why we feel the way we feel. We're in this hanged man position where maybe it's like nothing is exciting, nothing feels good. I'm not motivated to do much of anything. We have to understand why that is. What was that setback that happened, whether it was a week ago, a month ago, or a year ago, or whatever, that we're still emotionally tied to? Because the Queen of Cups is saying that maybe we don't recognize what that is. Okay? Maybe we find ourselves being a little bit demotivated, a little bit tired, a little bit lethargic right now. We don't really identify where that's coming from. Perhaps we need to. And perhaps the strength there is to really look within and admit that, okay, yeah, that thing that happened, that hurt. That sucked, and I don't want to do that again. And that's why I've been sort of delaying things. That's why I haven't moved forward yet. Well, that's why I haven't got up and tried again. Okay? So I feel like we have to embrace the feelings and admit them and identify where they're coming from so that we can move forward into our 6th position, which is the imago, the event. The next step, the future events for you, right? The consequences of your actions. If this hanged man can wake up and grab that wand, you're going to succeed. Okay? And so we have to ask, now, what choices are going to guide me to the life that I seek? Well, we have to have a victory. And this is not a victory over other people necessarily. This is a victory over ourselves. A victory over that quicksand, that inertia that's keeping us down, the gravity that's keeping us down on the mat. So getting up off the mat here, that's the victory. It's a victory over ourselves. It's teaching us what we're really capable of. And this is Jupiter in Leo. This is an expansion of the powers of our ego. And right now, like I said, it may feel as if the ego is sort of disempowered. The ego feels the loss. The ego really took a hit back here. And so the ego hasn't quite recovered yet. I think we have to realize that and identify that and say, I'm getting up and I'm going to keep moving forward no matter what. The unfolding of your journey is a journey of victory, but we have to be willing to get back into the fight. Okay, this major energy is here, and I feel that if we keep pushing it aside or procrastinating or delaying the inevitable, and the longer we stay down on the mat, the less likely it is that we're ever going to get up. And the more difficult it will be when we finally say, okay, I recognize this connection, and I'm ready to take action. Okay? That Ace of Wands is the key to it all. We have to get fired up. We have to be able to sublimate this emotional energy into power, into action, okay, into motivation. Now, Path of the Serpent, we're going to talk about these cards. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, by the way, please do. And if there's anything you would like me to pray over or meditate upon or send positive energy toward, please let me know. The seventh position is the persona. This is the public mask that we wear, the social face. This is our costume in the greater theater of life. And this is a kind of a card of wealth. This is a card of contentment. This is a card of maybe perfection. And maybe the reason why we're so distraught over that Seven of Pentacles was because we're a bit of a perfectionist. And we almost feel as if I'm not projecting this persona or this aura of perfection, then it's kind of like all or nothing. It's very black and white thinking, right? I either have to be absolutely perfect or I'm a failure. If things don't go exactly right, then they're just terrible and ruined, right? So really it feels like the ego took a major hit. And it feels like maybe we are expecting other people to assume we're going to always get it right. It's almost as if we feel that the demands of others is a demand of perfection, whether this is a relationship or a particular project, a work thing, work, school, home, it doesn't matter. If we feel like we have to always be perfect, then we're going to very, very often, we're going to fall short of perfection, and it's going to be devastating to us. So whether you have this expectation on yourself and we have to ask then, where did that come from, right? If I expect myself to always be perfect, what happens when I'm not? If we're in a relationship and we think, oh gosh, my partner expects me to be perfect, and then when I'm not perfect, it's a big problem, right? That maybe I get distraught, and the other person, maybe they do have those expectations of you. It could be. But it's this assumption of perfection, or this need, or this feeling as if we're expected to be perfect, that's kind of causing that big blow when we're not perfect. Okay? So I don't think this is really serving us very well anymore. Because when we have this, it's kind of like, if I do it once, I'm not perfect, I'm never going to do it again. Because that's kind of like, that's an oh no, right? So if we can do something about this expectation, and we realize that we are instead perhaps this Princess of Pentacles, that we are developing in us a potential. We're giving ourselves the freedom to not be perfect. This is imperfection. This is imperfection. This, obviously, that's imperfection, but this is that feeling of failure. I failed at something. I was expected to be perfect and flawless, but I was not, and therefore I'm donezo. It's gone. Like the opportunity's gone. I had one shot and I blew it, and that was it, right? But the next card is position 8. This is the hidden events or the influences. This is the environment for you. Relationships. I feel like we're starting to accept the fact that we're not going to be perfect. Nothing is perfect. I think once we realize that life is here to sort of challenge us and to bring out the best of us, then this allows us room to fall down. If you go into the jiu-jitsu studio or whatever to learn, you're not expected to be already a black belt or whatever's beyond black belt, right? You're expected to be a student. You're expected to try and fail and get knocked down and get up again and grow and develop. This is like, this is the uncarved block. This is your backyard that is ready to have a garden in it. You don't just snap your fingers and suddenly there's a perfect garden. No, you go through the work. Things need to grow. Things need to decay. The soil needs to be tended, and the thing needs to be cultivated. So there's a big difference between these two cards. This persona of perfection, or this need for perfection, the perfectionism, and then the organic nature of something that says I'm allowed to be imperfect. I'm allowed to not know what I'm doing because I'm working on it. I'm growing into it. I'm developing something in myself. Okay. So this is almost an acceptance of our imperfect nature. If this is a relationship, or this is your job, or this is you're at school or something, we're going back into it realizing that I'm not going to be perfect. I probably never will be perfect. And that's okay. I'm here to learn. I'm here to grow. I'm here to develop into the best version of myself that I can, especially if this is a relationship. Okay? To have expectations of perfection on a partner are very troublesome, to say the least, right? And so that puts someone into a hanged man position where they just feel like they're at the mercy of whatever this other force is. Okay? And it's almost a guilt or almost a shame for not being perfect. So we're trying to make up for it in other ways. All the princesses give us permission for something. This is our permission to not be perfect. This is our permission to cultivate something inside of us. And doing that, let's say, we want to cultivate this, you want to be good at the jiu-jitsu, right? So you're gonna go into it saying, I've got to start from where I am. I've got to give myself permission to fail, permission to fall down. And then, of course, I've got to pick myself up again. So we understand that this is the process, the only process. Okay, that's not instant creation. Now, of course, we have our fire and earth cards here. The manifestation energy, right? Fire to earth, above to below, impulse to action, heaven to earth. But it's not an instantaneous snap your fingers and suddenly you have something, you pull a rabbit out of a hat. It's a process. Okay? It's a process of trying and failing. Yeah. And that's kind of the challenge for you right now because, again, the Princess of Pentacles in the environment, the external challenges reflecting your inner fears. The inner fears is that I'm not going to be perfect. My inner fear is that I'm going to fall down, that I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to be, I'm going to be a work in progress, right? I feel like all of us we're always a work in progress, and so this is the fear that I'm going to go into something and I'm not going to know what I'm doing. Well, of course, we're not going to know until we do it. We're not going to learn until we fall down a bunch. You look at a baby who's learning how to walk. They fall down quite a bit. But that's important. The falling down is where the learning really happens. Okay? It feels good to be walking and to be in that momentum, to be gliding over the floor. But it's in the moments where we fall down where we say, okay, I learned a little bit about balance there. I learned a little bit about how to move my feet, So I think this sort of represents some of that fear of not being exactly the way we want to be in any moment. Yeah. The next card is position 9. This is also some fear, worry, and concern, some anxieties. This is impulsivity. Okay. These are parts of ourself that may challenge our growth. Okay. Again, we have kind of a challenging growth here. See, it's interesting, too, that we have these two cards very connected. Outside events, the internal sort of struggle. We have the external struggle and kind of the internal state. So I feel like you're cultivating energies inside of you, and then you're using those energies to cultivate your reality around you. So there's internal cultivation and external cultivation. The thing that we have to face, to step into our power is this impulsivity. This is kind of reckless behavior. Yeah. And this could be a rebellion against the hanged man, where we want so desperately to get out of that hanged man position that we end up doing something completely out of character, something reckless, something risky, something impulsive. Yeah. What we don't want is to talk ourselves out of it. Now, an interesting thing to point out is that your reading doesn't have any air cards. There's no swords cards here. We're not overthinking anything. Okay? I feel like what you're doing is you're recognizing your position, You're identifying what those emotions are that are keeping you tied into this situation. You're taking your power back. You want to avoid being impulsive, but you want to be responsive. If there's a difference between reaction and response. Okay, this is the card that really needs to have a little bit of air energy that says, whoa, hold on, slow down. You're just rebelling against some energy that you don't like, and this is not going to lead you to any good place. We don't want this. What we want instead is the Knight of Wands. This is also rather impulsive, but I like to say it's responsive. This is somebody who receives a stimulus and they respond. They don't have to put a lot of time to think about, what am I going to do? How do I figure this out? No, it's kind of like a situation comes up and they respond in a way that is healthy and appropriate, but very active. Okay? If we get stuck here, then we're kind of doubting ourselves. We're thinking, I don't trust myself, so I need to pause and I need to think about what I'm going to do. And the more space we put in between the impulse and the action, the less likely we're going to be to actually do the action, right? Sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes I don't want to just react to somebody. I want to calm down. I want to breathe. I want to put some space in between. And then I'm not going to feel like you get a text message or something and you want to just fire off a text message right back to the person, but you stop yourself. And you say, wait a minute, no, I've got to think this through, and maybe I don't need to send that text message, and then I don't behave that way. This is the card, on the other hand, that receives that stimulus, knows exactly how to respond, and responds immediately with no thinking involved, because we trust ourselves, because we know that this is appropriate. So in other words, if you're in a bad situation, and you're feeling this hanged man energy, but you're not letting yourself react because you end up talking yourself out of it, well, then we'd see a lot more swords cards here, right? Rather than you recognizing your situation and immediately taking action to correct it. Okay? You're not second-guessing yourself. You're leaping forward into action because it's the appropriate thing to do. I think that maybe we have been in this situation too long, and I think previous to this reading, you probably had a lot of swords cards because we kind of realize that something's not right here. I realize that I should be going and doing something and moving forward, but I'm kind of stuck in this past. The more I think about the past, the more I sort of, I look at the past and I feel it, the more sort of immobile I feel, the more stuck or frozen I feel. And then I start thinking about it more and I start really identifying with this. And this is a vicious circle here, right? This is a loop that we get stuck in. And I think there's probably a lot of challenging swords cards that were back here. But they're not here now because I think that you're trusting your reactions and you're saying, you know what, I need to just get up and take action. I need to do something differently. Now I want to look at the mystery card because I expect this to be another card of action. I expect this to be a card of trust, that we're trusting ourselves. So if it's a sword card, it's going to be an ace, or it's going to be a 6, maybe even a 10 of swords. Or it'll be an ace of wands again, it'll be the adjustment card, your power card, or it will be Wheel of Fortune or the High Priestess. If you have a prediction, put it in the comments. Now this is the position of the guide, position 11, the higher self, the wisdom. This shows you the character that you're going to need to develop in order to walk the path ahead. So, the 5 of Pentacles. Okay, so this is movement at least. This is the voice of truth for you. This is the message from your higher self saying we have to get out of our comfort zone and we have to get a move on. And it may feel as if leaving this position, because the Hanged Man's gotten kind of used to being here. At least it's familiar. This may be a bad relationship, but at least it's one that I know, So rather than being complacent and acquiescing to the situation, we're taking action, even if we know that it's going to at first be a little bit weird, cold, lonely, difficult, challenging, right? So we know that the 6 is a victory. It's victory after fight, victory after strife, harmony after change. So it makes sense that if we want to have this victory, we're going to have to get up and do something differently. We keep doing the same thing we've been doing, and this is where we're going to stay. So this is about movement. This is about jumping into a response, because we know it's the right thing, even if it feels like we're sort of disrupting life a little bit. Whether this means you are doing something at your job, you're doing something in your relationship, or you're getting back up off the mat and you're saying, I'm back in the fight. We know that it's going to be challenging, but that challenge is where the growth happens. The only way to get to the victory is to go through the challenge. Otherwise, it's not really a win. If there is no challenge involved, it's not really a win. So I feel like this is a very good message here that's saying, look, trust your response to this situation, even if it's sort of leading you into an uncomfortable place. That's where we need to be in order to get to the future we're supposed to have. So again, the Hanged Man is kind of powerless. We can reclaim that power. We can harness this major energy that's arriving in your life. Because I feel like this major energy is just saying, you know what? I've been in this Hanged Man position for long enough, and I'm not going to take it anymore. I'm doing something about it. Very, very powerful. Okay? And I think that it is the only way forward. Otherwise, we're going to stagnate, and things are going to sink deeper and deeper. It's like that quicksand that's just, it keeps drawing you downward. Okay? And this is a good one. Now, please, let the lessons of these 11 stations settle into your heart. Each card is a mirror. Each station is a temple of transformation, alternating between who you're becoming and the world you're creating. Right? We have that internal cultivation and the external cultivation. Please remember that the tarot does not dictate your future. It reveals the pattern of possibility. It invites you to co-create your destiny. If this reading has illuminated your path in any way, please share your reflections down below. Together we journey onward, ever upward and ever inward. And we're going to do an extended reading. We'll do an I Ching hexagram. We'll do some oracle cards. There is a link in the corner. There's a link down below. New readings for Libra Wednesdays and Saturdays. Be sure to watch both readings. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Leave a comment and let me know where in the world you're watching from. I want you to know that you're the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you and I love you. And we're all in this together.